Hello, Stephen Bulger, Stephen Bulger Gallery in Toronto. Wanting to give you a brief tour of our current exhibition, which is André Kertész, A Life in Photographs. This exhibition covers 70 years of photographic practice. I'll see how well I can compress that into some cohesive films. I think I'll do it in sections, so I don't completely bore you. Thought I would start with a survey of this survey exhibition so you can get a sense of what is on the wall, and also what the gallery looks like. I'm hoping that this helps us introduce ourselves to people from around the world through the magic of the internet. In my gallery, I'm the Luddite of the group, so I'll use that to explain the camera shake, and also why I'm using a cell phone to do this. So we'll start at the beginning. Kertész was born Kertész Andor in 1894 in Hungary, in Budapest. I'll start with the first photograph. The exhibition is laid out somewhat chronologically, but I did take some creative license because I wanted a certain look for the exhibition. And this photograph, I hope this will be clearer, shows André the way I think he wanted us to think of him. It's a self-portrait, one of approximately 1,200 he took during his lifetime, and for which he had he worked with a machinist to work on a little spring device that would come down and trigger the shutter. So he was an early adopter to the selfie. And here we see him in 1927, really like footloose and fancy free and surrounded by the arts. You can see that there's a canvas, there's some drawing utensils, there's some papers. He's playing the harmonica in his bare feet, looking up at the sky or perhaps at the stars. But certainly seems to be a man at peace with himself and quite happy and fulfilled. That's not what happened. So let's see if I can get through this biographical story of André Kertész to give you some insight into the photographs that we're looking at. So when Kertész was around 12, his father had passed away. He was the middle of three sons. This is a photograph that he took of himself and of his brother Jenno, his younger brother. The older brother Imre really had to start working at a fairly young age to keep the family going, and Kertész took a long time to find his way. And he somewhat idolized his younger brother Jenno because he was so good looking and outgoing. And in terms of their collaboration with photography, Kertész and his brother received the gift of a camera when Kertész was around 15. And the two brothers took to it quite quickly, that André would figure out what to photograph and how to photograph it. But Jenno, who's seen jumping in the air here, was responsible for all the darkroom magic. So he did the processing and printing and was also a great critic of the work that they were doing and helped them get better and better. In 1914, Kertész was drafted into the First World War, serving with the Austro-Hungarian army. There he is. And this is a contact print, so almost all of the prints that Jenno printed were contact prints at this time. So that's the same, that a contact print means it's the same size as the negative. So he wasn't in the Signal Corps, so he wasn't taking these photographs for in any official capacity, but it's something that he was happy to do, and he did it somewhat professionally in that he would take photographs of his fellow soldiers and send the unprocessed negatives back to Jenno, who was in Budapest, and Jenno would make the prints and return them to André at the front, and André would distribute them, I think both as gifts as well as for sale. This is interesting for me to look at. It's one of the first examples of Kertész being the author and participant at the same time. So this is a photograph that he made in Albania, and he would set the camera up and begin the sequence for using the self-timer, and then he would race into the picture to situate himself within the frame, and then he would observe what he was photographing as he was photographing it. So simultaneously he was the author, the subject, as well as the viewer and observer, which I just find fascinating. These are displaced persons from the war. And that's another contact print taken as a soldier. So during the war, he was wounded, he was shot, he was rehabilitated, he was sent back to the front, and then returned home. And sometime after is when he met the love of his life, Elizabeth, for the first time. And we will talk more about Elizabeth soon.